Okay, so good evening, everyone, to the Cosmic Ascension Waves of Light, or the Call, with myself this evening, Soma Aral, and also we have two very special guests. We have Joshua Shapiro and Julia Ankerhaven. Let me so today's date is the 3rd of November 2024, and the time here in Ireland is 7:12 p.m. in the evening. And I'm very much looking forward to this evening and reconnecting with Joshua and connecting with Julia. And I was just saying I'm really glad that it's just the three of us, because I feel that there's just for the dynamics, I think, um it's like a peaceful energy this evening. It's not too intense or hyper, which is nice, because yesterday was quite intense for me and quite hyper. So this evening, so Joshua, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. I am a crazy Aries, if I was going to summarize it in one sentence, which means that although I'm following my own spiritual path, anything that's weird, unusual, exciting, different, new, or spirit gives me a crazy project to do, I'm going to go for it because that's just what makes me happy is to be involved in projects, be working with soul family, which I feel both of you are my soul family. And, you know, um, a lot of us feel that we volunteered to come down here, especially right now, because big things are getting ready to happen in our world. Like here in the United States, around the election, crazy things are already going on. I see reports about um, stealing of votes, and they're talking about that there might be riots on Tuesday when the election happens and everything. So we're coming into a period of time right now where things are going pretty crazy. Um, so I'm involved in sharing the best information I can. Most people know me as a Crystal Skull explorer, author, and public speaker, but I'm involved with UFOs, Tartaria, flat Earth, all kinds of different subjects. Anything that catches my interest, because I remember, and I won't say what this is, but everybody will know what it is, so that nothing happens to your video. When we had the crazy things happen to us in 2019 and 2020, I started talking to whoever was listening to me. And I said, I want to know the truth. And they just start putting it in front of me. And I think that I had a experience where I was in a coma when I lived in Las Vegas. I think it was in, God, I can't even remember how long ago it was. I think it was 2000, something like that. A van struck me from behind and I was in a coma. And I know that I was at some kind of a meeting and I saw our future at that meeting, but they blanked my memory and they said, as things happen in your present, you'll know what's true and what's not true. So that's pretty much what's been happening to me. I've been going on Telegram primarily. That's my main source, and looking at stuff, and certain things affect me, and I just know it's truth. So that's in a nutshell who I am, jack of all trades, like new adventures, new journeys, meeting new people. And right now I'm working, I think, a lot with Soul Family because here in Florida, I'm creating what's called Soul Family gatherings. I'm trying to bring people together and talk to each other and share information and things like that. So I have a group that's been coming together in Orlando. We have a new group starting in Tampa, and I'm working on another one by Vero Beach. So, because I don't have that much going on right now. So, whatever I can do to keep myself busy, I'm doing that. So that's kind of who I am. And of course, I have like 30 crystal skulls. I call my crystal kids. That some of them go with me when I do my public talks or my interviews or whatever. So it's, a lot of variety. That's what I need or I'm bored. So if any people listening to this, if you decide you want to contact me, please don't think I'm busy or whatever. Bother me. I need to be bothered. I need to be kept busy. I'm looking for soul family. And I also know too, according to my wife who's in spirit, she's over here. Um, so she talks to me and she said maybe in November a new person may come into my life. So I don't know. Maybe this woman is out there listening to this. I have no clue where this is going to happen or how it's going to happen, but I need to have a partner to help me with all these projects, especially a spiritual center that I want to create here. So, if you feel like you could be that person, bother me. Okay, let's have a conversation. I have a Zoom room just like Soma has where we can talk. So let's start some new adventures and excitement and journeys. Let's bring our soul family together. So that's kind of who I am right now in this moment. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself, Soma.
Yeah, I'm just I'll share the story about the email after. But I just would like Julia to. I just hold you in such high esteem, Joshua. Um, and you've been such an integral part of my story. And I don't like using the word story in that context, but in the unfolding of a
Right.
huge part of my life. Like it's huge. But before I go into that, Julia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi. This is like only the second time I've ever had to introduce myself on anything. So it makes me quite nervous. I'm Julia. I'm based in the UK. I'm founder of Anchor Haven. And I heard you guys asking where did that come from? That came from when I was on my travels. And in about 2002, 2003, I started traveling after a first holiday abroad. And I realized I was not meant to be living in the UK at all. Just not meant to be. And that one little trip I had off the Isle, and I realised I was meant to be travelling all over the world. So I set off on a journey to Australia and New Zealand, and I settled in India for a long time. And I met my husband in India, and it was there that I really connected in with the violet flame energies in a very, very deep way. So for me, India was my anchor haven. And I started to work with other mystical wellness kind of tools. I like to use mystical wellness as like an umbrella for all the different things that I do, because I love witchy pagan things. I love my crystals, and I love my violet flame energies. So these days I consider myself a violet flame keeper, a violet flame anchor for the planet. I do work closely with Saint Germain and Guan Yin. And I am Violet Flame Chakra Awakened. I have an additional energy center that sits at the top of my forehead as a gift from Saint Germain. So I love working with crystals. So I was so excited to meet Joshua because I definitely think we've got a crystal mission together. Definitely. I
Yeah.
generally work with dragon crystal skulls. That's what I love. I've got about 10 dragon crystal skulls, nothing majorly big, but I do love to create dragon portals with them as well. Yeah, so a lot of my work these days is working in the Akashic energies. I do energy readings and clearings, working with the violet flame and pendulum alchemy. I'm also an access consciousness practitioner, so I do hands-on work as well, but I'm starting to kind of veer away more to just focusing on my energetic work now. So I've got more flexibility, and I can connect with people from all over the world doing that, which I love. I've still got a day job, a muggle job in construction, which I'm hoping to leave next month. And then I'll be available to do a lot more things, hopefully getting out of the UK again, because I'm feeling this very strong urge to travel again. I've been in the UK for 10 years now, and that's enough for me. I need a bit more variety. I need to get out and about. And my son is a bit older now, so he's nearly 15, so I can start branching out a bit more again. So yeah, it's lovely to connect with Soma because we've been working on really getting into the past lives, connecting in with the Palladians, and rediscovering parts of me that were not accessible to me before we met. So a lot of that's starting to come forward again now, especially deepening my connection to Atlantis, because I am an original Lemurian soul. I've had a couple of lifetimes in Atlantis. So yeah, it's really exciting work that we're doing together.
Yeah, I feel that the connection between the three of us, it is very strong. It's and I know that I have a past life with Julia. But I think yesterday I was really realizing in the channeling that actually Joshua's there as well.
Yeah, it could be. It probably was all over the place many lifetimes.
Yeah, yeah. And that is not something that's new to me. I've had that many times in readings and um, reading people's Akashic records and doing the channelings. Um, so it's not a new thing to me, but it just feels lovely, and I feel such a strong energy of the crystal skulls as we're talking,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
One of the things that they often used to channel to me when I first started was, and it's in my book, was about the 13 that has so many different meanings. So the 13 crystal skulls, the 13 sacred or ancient tribes, the 13 star signs, the 13 statues on Easter Island. There's 13 of them together. 13, 13, 13, 13. I can't remember half the stuff they said, but as my journey and life unfolds, I just keep getting more information and more information all the time, and some of it lately has been quite intense, and a lot of information seems to be coming through in the readings, not just for their person, but also collectively, for the collective, very much with Julia and her sister, but also other people as well. Brian, I did a channeling the other day, and there was stuff that came through for the collective. So I have a kind of a backlog of stuff that I need to share. But so maybe maybe this evening we could talk about, okay, well, first of all, let me share with the audience my initial connection to Joshua. I was sent a an email by a crazy guy.
Still crazy.
Yeah, well, who turns out not crazy at all. But that's the awareness I was in at the time. So I had received an email from Joshua saying that he had received my name from, I think, from the Pleiadians, and he was working with a woman at the time. I'm not sure who that was, but he was given my name, and that we should work together and do some stuff. And then I think it was a few days later, maybe, I consciously began to channel the Pleiadians, and they turned up behind me and slightly to my left, well, behind me, and then they veered off to the left. So I could see I'd been a medium since a child, so I was fully able to be very aware of them, as if they were spirit, and able to see and hear them and feel them. So that was a lovely experience, and it kind of led on from there. So anyway, enough about that, and my part of my story. But it's crazy sometimes how life flows in certain directions, and things just kind of line up and happen at exactly the right time. So let's get into the crystal skulls. What is your journey, Joshua, with the crystal skulls? And do you have any pictures? Do you have any or do you have any in front of you? Do you have any?
I have some over here. Let me go get a couple to show. Easier than to try to take control and show pictures and images, which are all over my computer. So
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Wow. And Julia, you would, okay, Joshua, thank you. And
Yes,
Julia,
I work mainly with the dragon crystal skulls, and this is a fluorite that I work with. And this one is a really heavy garnet. So this is probably one of the biggest ones that I have. So it's quite big.
wow,
So yeah, lovely.
that is beautiful. So that's a dragon. Is that
Yeah,
yeah.
these are dragon skulls. You're connecting into the dragon realm and elemental energies with these. Yeah. So you get a lot of dragon wisdom come through, connecting into your dragon guides. And a lot of people have had lifetimes as dragon riders or dragon keepers or just as dragon like warriors. So we do quite a lot of work with my dragon skulls over here.
I was showing you this one because this was Katrina's dragon skull. And what happened is when I take it out, because I don't have the strong affinity that she did with the dragon skull, all the ladies love this one. And so I had to talk to the Indian carvers, and now they're making dragon skulls for me, clear quartz and Atlantisite, which is a purple green stone. So they go really fast when I put them up on Facebook. But this one will not go away because
What
this
is
one
that
is
one? What is the
it's
crystal there?
um it's some kind of calcite, coral calcite, or I don't know. It has a name, but
Wow.
it's a calcite. So it has the green and the black with it. But this is the one that Katrina has. So I thought I would do that. But then this one everybody likes too, which is lapis lazuli that was gifted to me by a soul sister. I don't know, it could be like 15 years ago or something like that. After I wrote a book about my trips to Peru looking for a blue skull, not this one, but a different one. She just felt to gift it to me, and it has. She called it the rabbi because it has like what we would call in Jewish a yarmulke or skull cap on the top part, this part here. So he's quiet. He doesn't talk too much, but he's drawn a lot of people interest. So this would be an example of a modern skull that a carver's made. So I have no idea who made this skull or who carved it, but they did a pretty good job because it's very nicely formed and it's pretty peaceful type of skull. So
What kind of weight is that? That looks really heavy.
I would say 8 pounds,
Wow.
probably 8 pounds. So I have a rose quartz skull, which is difficult to show, that was made by Chinese carvers. That's, I think, 12 or 13. That's the largest one that we have. But this one I think is about 8 pounds. So yeah, it's not light. So I have to put it down.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. So everybody likes these two skulls. They're popular when I, do my public events. They get attention. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting. Like I was in Vero Beach and these two were receiving attention during my sessions or in the lecture that I did. So
When I do like healing retreat days, I use the copper pyramid and then they sit in the copper pyramid with the skull and it greatly amplifies the
oh
connection.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. So you asked how did I get started, right? Was that the question?
Yes, I was just about to ask. So what has your journey been?
Well,
Like
it
how did
started in
yeah.
1983. I was traveling on faith in California by San Francisco, and I went to stay with a friend that I knew who was like a spiritual medium, a lady who was older than I was. She had a guest room that I could stay at, so I was kind of traveling on faith, a vagabond. I don't know what I was doing. And then we went to a metaphysical bookstore in San Jose, California, across the street from the Rosicrucian Park. And my friend who was there pulled out pictures of an amethyst skull, which is now we know as a me. And unfortunately, I have all my books packed. Otherwise, I would show you a picture of a me. Um, so she's also about 8 pounds an amethyst skull. And I eventually was in the presence of that one. And, from the picture, I had an inner earthquake that happened to me. So it was like a me was triggering. Well, I call it like day one for me to become a crystal skull explorer. I didn't know this. And then a couple of weeks later, I saw her and I was able to put my hand on it and I felt an energy from a me go from my right hand all the way up my arm to my shoulder. And that's where I see her floating sometimes over me. So every time I meet a skull, because my gift is the vibrational frequency, I feel that connection. So if I just think about a me, she could be right here, right now. Her energy would be present. Even though she's in prison right now, somebody owns her and is not talking about her, sharing her. She wants to go out and travel and have other people see her because she's a healing skull. and I believe she's quite old. So after I saw me, then it's just like everything took off. Then I came in contact with the co-authors of my first book, Nasserino and Bowen, and I think it was like 85. I met them, and then it just keeps growing more and more. Keep meeting more skulls, keep talking to more people, keep coming up with new projects. We have Crystal Skull Explorers Community now, which is on Facebook. We have like over 260 people who have joined in the past month and a half, and we have a world peace meditation we do on the 13th. So I'm constantly thinking, how can I bring soul family together and do something to work with the skulls to send out these really powerful energies? So these are some of the different things. And then of course I have a free ebook too, which any person who's listening to this, I'll give you the email at the end, and you just email me and I'll send you that free book. It's about 100 pages, but it goes over a lot of different aspects about the crystal skull. But really the key is, Katrina just reminded me of this, is you can listen to all our stories and all our experiences we have, but you need to have your own experience with them.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to really fully understand them, like when you have your own experience. So either you can become a Crystal Skull Guardian, that's something I help people with, or there could be somebody traveling in your area. Like sometimes Bill Holman, who has the Mitchell Hedges skull, he's traveling and participating in conferences and places like that. Or I get an opportunity to travel, or if I come to the UK and I start to work with Linkara, Stewart is the name of my friend that I know in Scotland. We'll be doing some things together. Between her and I don't know how many skulls we have. I have 30 and she must have like 20 or 30 herself too. So that's where you get an opportunity and you just see which one calls to you, and which one do you want to do, hold and feel the energy, do meditation with. So that's been my journey, and I'm constantly talking to Crystal Skull family all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
So another question I have for you. I'm dying to hear you speak about the 13 ancient crystal skulls.
okay, so the 13 ancient crystal skulls is a legend that has gone all over the world, and people have talked about it. But always the question is any of these original skulls out there? Like, for example, the Sci-Fi Channel in the United States, they did I think it was a 2-hour special when the Indiana Jones film came out with the crystal skulls. And I was interviewed for that, but unfortunately they didn't share my interview. But they tried to speculate like, well, the Mitchell Hedges is probably one of the original 13. And even to me, I think they mentioned as being one of them. But the skulls themselves tell me that humanity is not ready for these skulls because their vibrational frequency is way, way high. And literally, like a person could be in their presence and like be just totally be obliterated and destroyed because they can't deal with the high vibrational frequency.
So am I
So,
right in saying that this is mostly for the audience really, but am I right in saying that these 13 ancient crystal skulls are not from the earth?
well, that's one of the theories, yes, that they were gifts of the gods given to humanity. Or in our first book, Mystery of the Crystal Skulls Revealed, that I did with Bowen and Sereno, we interviewed this person named Michael Kent, and he was talking about that the original 13 skulls came through 13, no, sorry, 12 races of beings that live in the inner earth, and the 13th was the family of the tribes, like 12 tribes and a 13th. A crystal skull with a crystal body that contained the entire genetics and wisdom of those races. And those races could have been galactic that came to the earth. So this is what he talked about. So there's all different kind of theories about who had these skulls, where did they come from? Were they in Atlantis, for example? Were they made in Atlantis? So, there's a lot of different theories. Also, the Mayans talk about 52 skulls. So could there have been four sets of 13 skulls that different indigenous people had? The Mayan had a set of 13, and maybe some other indigenous people had a set of 13. So there's a lot of different theories about it. And the major challenge that I see with this is everybody has become fixated about, I want to have an ancient skull, meaning one that's like over 2,000 years old in its creation, or I want to see one that all the other skulls that exist have no, are not that powerful or valuable. And I'm sorry to say that is not correct. Like my crystal skull Portal de Luz, which I haven't showed yet, was made by Leandro da Silva from Brazil. And there was a Mayan elder who I won't say by name that saw him in Holland and said that he was one of theirs, and I knew that he had been created by a modern carver. So the new skulls, depending on who the person is and maybe what connection they have in past life, can activate those skulls and they can become extremely powerful. Or Portal de Luz has sat with the Mitchell Hedges skull. He's been close to the British Museum skull. He's been with me and several other skulls. And when he's with what he calls his older brothers and sisters, those skulls will say, okay, we see Portal de Luz is going to travel all over the world, so we're going to share some certain special energies with him that he can hold. So as Joshua is traveling with that skull, or eventually I see doing trips with Portal de Luz in the spiritual center I want to create here in Florida called the Center for the Advancement of Humanity, where we'll have these tours. There'll be other people traveling with Portal de Luz and other skulls. So every single crystal skull has the possibility of holding a unique and special energy.
No.
And we shouldn't just say, oh, it's just the ancient ones. No, the ancient ones are important because they hold sacred energy and ancient energies from different people that have lived in the past or possibly from the galactics that want to assist and help us. But, every crystal skull has the potential, depending on who the guardian is, of having a special frequency of energy that can help certain people that it meets as it goes out in a travel. And the skulls themselves have said to me that they're family, just like humanity is a family. And they love coming together and meeting their brothers and sisters also. And they don't understand why humanity can't work together like they work together. Why is it such a big deal that, you can't find it in your heart, even if you don't agree with somebody else, to still work together in peace and harmony. We don't have to agree on everything with each other, and we're all going to have different experiences and different perceptions of reality. And that's a good thing because we can learn from each other when we share those things. So that's what I know about the 13 original or master skulls, that the indigenous people claim that there is such a set or multiple sets, but whether any of those are actually out right now, I don't know. I don't think we would be ready for them. I think their vibration is too high. But it could be that they show up and they could be a catalyst for taking our world into 5D space, which, according to this guide who says he's me in my future in this lifetime, 2037 to 2040, we're going to have total paradise on our planet. That's what I see through his eyes. It's very peaceful and harmonious. And the crystal skulls played a role in this, just like each of us is playing a role in this. So.
Wow. Wow. So just to backtrack there a bit, Joshua. So there's a guy that you've met that says he's you in the future?
Yes, but it's a guide.
Oh, it's a guide. Sorry. I heard guide.
Not an individual. No.
I was thinking, what guy?
No.
Oh, forgive me.
It's
sorry.
who I become in the future.
Yes, a guide.
But he's acting as a spirit guide for me. So we have conversation. But of course, he will not reveal to me like what happens between here and 2024 and where he is 2037 to 2040. He just keeps telling me, absolutely paradise. It's going to be a beautiful world. So it means within the next 13 to 15 years, basically we are going to have total peace on this planet.
Wow.
So,
That's
so I
very
just,
close.
yeah, it's not that far away. And I keep feeling that something major is going to happen very soon before the end of this year. Like a major domino will fall, and then all of a sudden other things will start falling.
Yeah.
So it could come in so many different ways, you
Yeah.
know, like the Pleiadians who talked to you yesterday. What if they just decided to show up everywhere on the world at the same time? And
Yeah.
then they start beaming this very loving, peaceful energy so people aren't afraid or whatever. And, maybe that could be the catalyst, the first domino to fall that starts bringing peace to our world. So, it, I, that's what I feel. I think we're so close. So it's
But
very important for all of us who feel like we have a mission or work to do or a light worker to hold the positive energy, to hold hope, to know that this is absolutely in the process that's going to happen. It's like what's going on around us right now. They keep saying this on Telegram. It's a movie. It's not real. You know, these wars and everything. There's so much more that's happening behind the scenes that we don't hear about.
Yeah. So
And
much.
that's going to start coming out more and more.
Yeah.
And there'll be evidence and proof about these things too.
Yeah.
But is
Like
there like a prime directive that stops the Palladians and other star racers coming in to help us?
there is a divine timing, absolutely. Um, the challenge, I think, is that our world, we have so many different levels of consciousness of people. And like, for example, if the higher truths were brought out, like everything was given right away, people couldn't deal with it. It has to be a gradual releasing of process because the ultimate goal is that Mother Earth and having a physical existence here on the earth, that it can be the most exceptional life that you've ever seen before, that you have so many opportunities for growth. Because I believe that there's a lot of spirits that are around us are envious of those of us who were able to come down here because there are experiences and challenges that just doesn't exist in too many other places. So some people will go, well, I don't know how Joshua could say that because we have so many wars and conflicts and everything. Why would it be that way? But yeah, there's some just major stuff. I mean, this is what I'm watching inside of me all the time. So it's very difficult when you have a spiritual experience. How do you prove that to somebody else who doesn't have an experience like that? So, but you go with your intuition and your feeling and your spiritual gifts, you know, like, maybe there's something I'll say. Like this is what happened with Soma. I said some things to her which I can't remember because it was so many years ago. And it was a major catalyst to help her to open up. And that to me is the greatest thing that I could do, is to say
Hmm.
something to someone and empower them to become the best that they could be. Okay, if I could do that like maybe 100 times in my life before it's time for me to go home or wherever I'm going to go, that would be really cool. That I would feel good about that more than, whatever books I wrote or whatever talks I gave or, you know, any other projects, music that I might come up with. I have a lot of different gifts, so. But to empower other people, that to me is the most special thing. That's what I challenge myself to when I meet new people. What could I tell this person that really, would make them smile or go, yeah, I get it, I see it, I know exactly what you mean. So
Hmm.
that's what I hope for the most.
You have such a good way of presenting things as well that will reach just every person. Sometimes I struggle, although a lot of the people I do connect with are people who are newly awakened, and they're feeling a bit lost and nothing makes sense, and they're potentially, some of them are actually heading into psychosis because they can't
Yeah.
correlate what's happening with them in the everyday world, and it's creating that bridge between the two. But I met Soma because she was on a Typical Skeptic podcast, and in that 2 minutes hits, when she tuned into my energy, it was an instant connection for both of us. And
Yeah.
I knew I had to book in with her straight away. And yeah, it's been fantastic. So it's so funny, isn't it? And in the very first thing she said to me was that I have a very playful energy. And nobody has ever said that, when they're doing a remote reading. So I
Hmm.
knew instantly that, yeah, that she knows me. So that
Right.
was really good. Yeah.
And it's important, I think, to have a playful energy with people because, um, you can get very serious about doing spiritual work for the planet, but it should be something that's fun that you enjoy to do. So, I went from in the beginning doing talks where I was monotone to telling Jewish jokes and stories and taking people and say, okay, let's put you in the story here and getting people involved. So,
Yeah.
plus also in the UK, what happened to me there is they didn't want me to tell my stories first. They wanted the facts first. They wanted the proof, the evidence. So I had to shift because in the US, people like stories first, to give examples of what you're trying to share.
Yeah.
So it's really important to make it fun and entertaining and make people think and um, just try to come up and maybe even challenge them a little bit, well, you should check this out and see what you think, or like I said, with the crystal skull, have your own experience and see what happens to you, you know.
Yeah. So when you get a new crystal skull, like I've got my dragons here, do you have a ritual or something, a way of welcoming them into your crystal skull family? And how do you activate them as well to get that connection, to get their personalities to come through?
Well, first of all, they need to sit with all the other ones, so that's a given. But each one is unique and different. And so when they come, you might have a sensing, oh, I need to sleep with that one, or I need to go to my special place where there's great energies and take it there. So it's like you develop a communication with each skull and it's unique and different. Um, or some of the skulls may say, Dad, we want to spend time with that one. Could you just put her or him with us for a while and don't work with it or do something? So it's being spontaneous. So the answer to your question is there might be a ritual or ceremony that you personally do, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work for anybody else. Or for me, I don't like to have a set thing I do. I let the skull talk to me and say, okay, what are we doing here? You know, um, or like they'll say, oh, you're going to go out and do a lecture. I want to be part of that. I want to be out there with the people, so I can share some special energy. So sometimes I take certain skulls and I don't take other skulls. So it's just like, you just go with the flow and you just see what happens. And I find that if you try to always do the same thing, it's not going to work because things change. The energy of our world is changing. The energy of the skulls themselves start changing too as you start working with them. So it's just better to go with the flow and be spontaneous and see what comes up. So that's what I like to do. But that's an Aries thing, okay? There are some people, who are not fire sign that they just want to go very slowly, do the same thing, make sure that you have everything down. Aries, forget it, We got to do something new. I don't care if I do it right or not. If they don't like it, well, there's nothing I can do. I just was myself and I did the best that I could. So it kind of like which sign you are also may govern, how you do it. Like I know that my fire can drive people crazy if they're not a fire sign. Okay,
I'm
because
I'm a Scorpio, so
right.
I'm quite fiery as well, even though I'm meant to be.
Yeah, well, that's a fiery water sign that
Yeah.
can go fast. I have Scorpio rising, so I have some part of Scorpio in me too. But it's a very highly creative sign too.
Mm.
So, it doesn't you don't always have to be a doer. Sometimes you're just receiving and, sharing what comes through and just trusting that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the skulls help with your creativity too. Or there may be certain one, like one may say, okay, I want to help you with your music. I want to help you with your painting. I want to help you with your writing. I want to help you with your gardening, whatever it is, with your sessions. So you just see what happens. There isn't a right or wrong way of doing things. That's the bottom line. It's like what works for you. Like it could be this year, something works for you with the skulls, and then all of a sudden next year it completely changes, or a new skull shows up and it changes the dynamics of everyone. So you just don't know. So
And I'd like to ask Julia, what is your experience um with crystals and crystal skulls? Do you
I don't have that much experience with crystal skulls. I mainly work with the dragon skull, so it's slightly different to, the normal shape ones. But I do have some small ones, some amethyst ones that I occasionally bring into healing if I'm working with the higher chakras. But crystals I've been connected to since I was a child, and for me it is a remembrance from Atlantis, probably coming in. So I'm a crystal therapist, and these days it's more of a quantum crystal healing. So just calling in the ethereal energy of the connection of the crystals. So I don't need to have them with me all the time. I just command the energies to come in, or I tune into that energy that's within my body. I also work with crystal empowerment as well, and we do. I teach elemental crystal studies, so we're working with like connecting into the oversoul of each particular crystal. But recently, as the Palladians prompted me to do more Atlantean connection meditations, we rediscovered, myself and my group rediscovered, a huge quartz control crystal in an Atlantean temple, and the energy in there was just so pure, so clear, so amazing that I knew that it was for me to anchor it into this timeline. So it's as if the oversoul for our crystals in this timeline have become polluted because they're working so hard to try and clear the energies here. So that's something that I'm actively doing, is trying to pull that energy into this timeline, working with crystals. So it's changing all the time. But when I teach crystals, say for beginners, I always say, ask the crystals, how would like to work with you? Who would like to work with you? What message, what keyword do they have for you? Because each crystal is different for each person, and you might want to use it in a different way. Yeah.
That is amazing, Julia. I think there's a lot, like the energy between the three of us. It feels very expansive, and it feels like it's going somewhere.
Yes.
but yeah. So my next question was, so let me. This would be a good time to explain that I have a Substack, and the reason I'm saying that now is because there's recent dialogues or readings or interviews between me and Julia on my Substack. So if you're interested in Julia's work, go and check her out. She's on my Substack, which is my name, Soma Arar. So you'll have to Google that to get the correct link, or I'll put the link in this video as well as Joshua's links. So the theme between us seems to be, and I think I know I did a channeling last night, but I never really remember them in total. And I think some of the information was about crystals. And I think they mentioned you, Julia. I know they mentioned Joshua. But my next questions are leading into are about Atlantis and the Essenes, and I wanted to ask both of you guys, because we've been doing this a lot lately, Julia, about previous lifetimes and battles. So really, if we could just go around the group. I know there's only three of us, but that feels perfect for this evening, because it feels very calm and peaceful. There's a peaceful energy. It's not hyperactive or there's not too many people. So about Atlantis and also the Essenes and previous lifetimes. I don't know who wants to go first.
Ladies first.
Well, I don't have a lot except for things that I've shared with you, Soma, that have been coming through the channelings. I only have a few memories of Atlantis that have come forward as I've worked with Saint Germain, and I've done my crystal therapy studies at Hope College. And one of the memories I had was that I was running. I was running through tunnels and passageways, and I'd given away something. And I do believe I'd had a relationship with somebody from the Sons of Belial, perhaps, and that maybe I'd given away a secret to the Violet Flame. And so, and another Violet Flame priestess like myself had talked about saying to me about working with crystals and children, and she'd seen me as a teacher working with the Violet Flame and crystals in Atlantis. And when I do attunements to Reiki and things like that, that is how I do them. I do deep journeys with meditations, Violet Flame and crystals. So that just kind of blew my mind because I've always done my attunements that way. I've just been guided to do it that way. So I only really have a few memories of Atlantis. But as I'm prompted now to go into the channel journeys, more things are starting to come through. Because when I was in the Temple of the Crystal Skulls yesterday, I felt like I was a boy running through, and kind of playing hide and seek with these big pillars of skulls. And there were many skulls in there. There wasn't just 12 or whatever, but there was a large skull, like an oversoul type skull, that was suspended in the air. But it felt like it was like a starberry. It was like a library of the stars, and that there were keepers there, maybe Joshua might relate, that would present you with the skull of your choosing to do your work. And then it was scribed next to you as if automatically going into your Akashic records as well. It was really interesting what came forward. So we work, I have connected into the particular goddess priestess energy that came forward as a guide as well, and she is always there when we connect back. But I do believe I was just one of many Violet Flame priestesses who trained in the sun temples of Atlantis. Like many of the people that I work with, actually, that come to my Anchor Haven groups, I believe we're all that kind of priestess energy. Yeah, so I don't have any other past lives apart from what you've channeled through about being in the French wars and that kind of thing. But I totally resonate as a starseed, of course, with lots of different lifetimes, heritage going all the way back to like Lyra, that kind of thing. So I'm just rediscovering myself at this stage. So.
Wow, that's a wealth of experience. I was just looking for the right words there. It's a wealth of experience. And yeah. Wow. So
but I'm sure more will come forward in our work together, though, especially with the three of us connecting in. I'm sure there'll be more clarity coming in. Yeah, it's a very exciting time, isn't it?
It is. I feel something brewing in the distance, something building, something gathering, something. It just feels like
unlocking.
Yeah,
it's unlocking. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that time is getting on, but Joshua, what about you? Would you like to speak about Atlantis and the Essenes and any previous lifetimes that you've remembered?
Okay, I can't speak to the Essenes. I don't have any memories of that, but I definitely have memories of Atlantis. So I see the 12 temples of Atlantis throughout Atlantis, where each one had a crystal skull, where each one had priests and priestesses that worked with it. And I also see too, when Atlantis was destroyed, that the skulls were taken and scattered all over the world. So apparently I worked with a group that went to Peru because I've been drawn to Peru. And I actually had a vision when I was meditating with Portal de Luz where I saw a craft flying and bringing a crystal skull to Peru that's probably still there, probably hidden. Because many of the crystal skulls that came from Atlantis probably are either being guarded by indigenous people who will not talk about it because they're too sacred, or just some people in the past received them and then they hid them and it's waiting for the time to be rediscovered, which can come through an individual who's worked with a certain skull. The skull knows their DNA and it could be sending out like a signal or something. And all of a sudden you feel like, I don't know why, but I have to go to this place or whatever, or maybe with a group of people to help to bring it out. So that is the basic memory I had in Atlantis was with the temples and the skulls, and then the skulls being taken out of Atlantis before it was destroyed, because they could see that in a future time, which is this time now, that we would need these crystal skulls to help us to, bring peace and harmony to our world and our planet. I do have also memories when I went to Peru of a temple there from Lemuria, because I believe that at least on the eastern coast of South America, that actually was part of Lemuria. When Lemuria sank, the Andes Mountains rose, and also probably parts of Hawaii were part of Lemuria as well. And so there is high up in the Andes Mountains in Peru by Colombia, by the border with Colombia, I was drawn to a place there, and could see in my vision a temple in this area where there were crystal skulls on the walls in a glass case. And just as Julie was describing, a person could come into this room and they could work with one of the crystal skulls, like a library.
Mm.
I'd like to take this crystal skull out, for a time so I could work with it, take your personal crystals, put it into the eyes of the skull to get energy and knowledge back from it. So I saw that happening in Lemuria, in this part of Peru. I had very strong visions of that. Um, so those would be like two very keys. And then the other thing that came up is with the Atlantean crystal ball, which some people have heard of this. Dr. Brown was on an expedition in the, I guess, Bermuda area, Bimini area with Jacques Cousteau, and they recognized that when there's a major storm, it frees up what's on the bottom of the ocean. So there was a major storm, so he went down and he saw an Atlantean temple, and he was able to find a way to go inside, and he came into a room that had a huge table with tall chairs, and there was like a ruby hanging from a metal pole from the ceiling, and on the table were these metal hands holding a crystal ball. And the voice said to him, "Take the ball and leave and never come back again." And so they never could find that temple again after that. But he did come out with the Atlantean crystal ball. So right after I met Katrina, we drove from Atlanta to Key West, Florida, which is, the Keys at the end. It's the last island. There was a spiritual center there. And there was Dr. Brown had passed away, and somehow this gentleman had the Atlantean crystal ball and he was sharing it. And so we came too late to have a session. He did come up to me and say, "Please take your skulls and don't have them around the crystal ball. I don't want them to interfere in the energy." But he was sadly mistaken, because this ball was very powerful and our skulls were not going to do anything. But, you have to follow what the person who's the guardian did. But of course, I'm Aries, so I put one of my small ones and kept it in my pocket while I was holding it around, the skull. Sorry, the crystal ball. And what he did for us is we did a circle and he walked behind us with the ball and he was doing some healing work or something. So I couldn't see what he did. But then after that was done, he said, "I'll hold out your hands like this." And he put the ball into my right hand. So the ball is energetically there. If I call it, I can bring the ball into my right hand. And so I had a vision. I don't know if this was past or whatever, but I saw myself with a woman and a little child. Their back was to me in the vision. And after my Katrina passed, I heard, "No, this wasn't past vision. This is future vision. You haven't met your little girl yet, who's going to be your daughter, and you haven't met the woman who's going to be the mother of this little girl." So the little girl started showing up about 2 months ago around me in spirit and said, "I'm coming next year." So I'm just waiting to see who this lady is and what the connection is. But the Atlantean crystal ball showed me this vision. See, I'm not good at visions, all right? But when I go back into being with that ball, I can see that vision like right in front of me in my mind's eye.
Can I just add that in Patricia Corey's book, Atlantis Rising, she has a picture on the cover of a great crystal quartz sphere. and working with copper energies, and it's in the crystal generator room of Atlantis. So I think there was larger spheres with
Yeah, there
copper
were.
filaments and gold filaments in, and there were many spheres. So yes, it's
Yeah,
quite interesting that she's got that on her cover of her book by Patricia Corey.
right.
Yeah,
No, I know that there were more spears. This wasn't the only one. Okay,
yeah.
but this is the one that became the most well known after Dr. Brown brought it out and started sharing with people publicly. It would do erratic things. Its energy was really crazy.
But
So,
it's quite likely that the large one with the copper was blown up, isn't it? You know,
right. Well,
it's quite likely, yeah.
right, this Atlantean ball did blow up too with this new Guardian when it went to Mount Shasta.
Oh,
Right. So, and I'm
yeah,
not surprised because I felt like why does this individual have it? I'm not totally sure that he's honoring and respecting the ball in the
yeah.
proper way. And why did it integrate itself into my hand so that I could hold that energy? Because there have been people where I just said, okay, just put your hand over my hand, and they are able to experience the energy of the ball.
That's
But also
amazing.
but also there's a blue skull that sits on this hand too. So I have two
Yeah.
different energies. And the blue skull right now is in the etheric energy realm. It's not here in the physical. So I talk to it, it's around me, and I say, okay, come over here so the person can experience, the energy. And there was one person literally that felt the energy and like was blown to the other side of the room. It was so strong.
Wow.
Um,
I do wonder if going to Mount Shasta with that energy and it not being with the right guardian was something to do with the violet flame energies in Mount Shasta and the violet flame cathedral that's there. So I wonder if a
it,
violet flame guardian stepped in.
I don't know, but it self-destructed when it was there. I think it was with another friend I know that he has crystal skulls, and there may have been some crystal skulls close by. So I'm not totally sure, but all these
Amazing.
ancient artifacts that have been hidden, they're going to all start coming out, and for humanity to start to work with them,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they'll be
That's
sharing with us histories, the true history of our world. Like I don't think we fully understand Atlantis at all.
yeah.
It may not be as old as they say. Like they think it was destroyed about 12,000 years ago. May not be that many years ago. Maybe a
No.
lot less.
And the time span of Atlantis is a lot shorter than people believe. The time span of Lemuria was so much greater than the time span of Atlantis. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we were all
but
a lot more heart centered for so much longer before the technologies of Atlanteans crept in with the greed and focused
right.
energies.
But they
Yeah.
both coexisted at the same
Yeah.
time for a while. Lemuria was first, and then Atlantis came. And then Lemuria went away, and Atlantis was still there, and then Atlantis self-destructed. So, but a lot of us, and that's what I felt too, that when it was destroyed, I felt like I was part of a team, and we went to Peru, and we brought all kinds of sacred tools to Peru. So,
I'm pretty sure that I did not make it through the destruction of
right,
Atlantis. I mean, it's possible that I escaped, but I don't think so because I feel like I was on the bad side at that point in time because I'd
right,
fallen into a relationship or something that made
mhm,
me yeah. Who knows? I
right,
need to do more
right,
meditations on that one. Yeah.
right, right. And I think that the Atlantean crystal ball was offered to me because I worked with it before in Atlantis. Okay, it's the same thing like the Mitchell Hedges Gull. It felt like it already knew my spirit and my soul. Okay,
And I have to ask you something about Atlantis and crystals.
Yeah,
So,
please do. Let me just introduce Brian saying, thanks for joining us, Brian. So, um, so my so um so the questions I was asking just before you go ahead, it's about crystal skulls, Atlantis, the Essenes, and if you have any memories of previous lifetimes.
right.
well, excellent. And this blends right into that. So, a friend and colleague of mine, Arkim Ra, who's a survivor of the Montauk Project in time travel,
Mm,
he has a specific memory or not him. He was told this actually by a guy he refers to as the Montauk drummer, because as you may know, the Montauk Project, they not only did they MK Ultra the kids to be sex abuse victims and spies and soldiers and assassins and remote viewers, they also used them as musicians and to steal their music and their artwork and make billions of dollars off of it. And that's
Wow.
why these no talent people where they get this amazing music from. So this Montauk drummer guy told Arkeem that there was at least one or two conferences that he accompanied Preston Nichols to. Okay, this is before he really understood who Preston Nichols that he was really an abuser, because many of these people, they all had their minds, their memories wiped, and then they're out in the public, and many of them were actually spending time with Preston, not realizing how evil the guy was. And at one of these conferences, there's like a event, there's like the Preston Nichols was there speaking as a presenter. The Montauk drummer guy was there with him. And as they're walking through the hallways of the conference, there's like all these vendors. And one of these guys at a vendor's table, like a crystal vendor table guy who looked kind of like a wizard to this guy apparently, starts jumps up and starts pointing at Preston Nichols and starts like following him down the hallway, yelling, "You MFer, you MFer, you're the one who destroyed the red crystals of Atlantis." And what apparently happened is during one of these time travel missions, they literally opened a portal to like a control room center for the city of Atlantis, where they had like this red crystalline technology. And Preston Nichols was warned, do not touch the red crystals. Don't touch, because, who knows what's going to happen. It's super advanced ET telepathic technology. Don't touch it. What does he do? The minute he touches it, it causes the red crystals to go in a self-destruct sequence, and it caused the whole city to be like flooded and destructed. And so apparently that's what this dude is talking about. Is you're the guy who flooded out or destroyed Atlantis. So does that resonate, or is that just a little out there?
Well, something happened to Atlantis where it was destroyed, and most people talk about a misuse of their technology brought the destruction on. So could be partially, could be have to do with that.
I mean that
The,
that there has to be the balance as well, doesn't there, in Atlantis? So it is
yeah.
possible that there was something that was absorbing negative energies at that
Mhm.
point in time. But from when I went into the control room recently, I didn't see that there, but I wasn't looking for that specifically.
Right.
Yeah, so
And,
an array of red crystals.
Yeah.
and another thing that's come up with Atlantis that I've found is when I've talked to people who have past life with Atlantis, they tell a different story about Atlantis as if they were in a parallel Earth, a parallel Atlantis that is completely different from the one that we experienced. So I
I mean,
think there's, yeah.
and then didn't Atlantis last like 200,000 plus years?
Well, this is what they say, but I'm
I
not so
heard it's like a
sure.
lot, maybe not 200,000, but a long time, like tens
Yeah,
of thousands of years at least. So,
yeah,
Yeah. We were
that's what.
just talking about it wasn't as long as people think it was.
Yeah,
The
I'm not
okay.
Lemuria
sure.
was long, and then yeah,
Okay, the Lemuria is a longer period, and then
much
Atlantis.
longer, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But
See,
that's interesting.
all these things we have to speculate on, Brian. Who do you talk to? What
Well,
are
you
they?
got the crystal skulls, Joshua.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
but but these
Katrina, crystal skulls, ETs. I don't
right.
know.
so.
Well, just because I have those contact doesn't mean they're going to give me the answers to all these
I
questions.
think the person
Right,
who
right.
might
See, I
have
don't know.
more insight is Phil Barrow, and I don't know him personally, but I know that he's really connected to his lifetimes in Atlantis. Because I've seen him
Okay.
online a little bit, so he probably would have a deeper insight into that. And Philip Barrow. Yeah.
I'd like to speak to that a bit. So I'm very much on the fence about everything, including my own stuff. Unless I get it directly from the Pleiadians. I'm kind of on the fence. But when I get information from them, I've over the years I've built up a very strong relationship with them where I don't feel the need to question whatever they say, and fully believe the information they give me and have given me and what they've said. And I have seen at least one lifetime of my own in Atlantis, where I made wrong choices and chose I guess the wrong path or a wrong path. But one of the things that they've said is that we are in the reversal of Atlantis now, and that at the downfall of Atlantis, that negative ET energy came in and overthrew Atlantis. So that's my understanding of it. But having said that, I have no reason to doubt that that was true when you were talking about the red
Crystals.
crystals.
Yeah, it's probably like a vignette within the longer downfall of Atlantis.
Yeah, because it would have taken a long time for the negative ETs to really infiltrate and lead us into a bad path or the wrong path. And now Ascension is really connected. They keep saying the reversal of Atlantis because that's what it is, and that we're going back to a time of Atlantis, but not even that. We're kind of jumping forward into a higher state of being than was even at the time of Atlantis.
Because I understand that part of the ETs, and it was positive as well at that time during Atlantis, was giving humanity like all this technology and then humanity also, we had a lot more of our psychic powers and abilities activated. So we kind of had the whole enchilada, but we didn't have the wisdom to know how to use it properly. And then apparently a lot of the people of us may have, lived back then, incurred karma, and apparently a lot of us could have worked off a lot of that karma earlier incarnations between then and now, but we've chosen to work it off during this incarnation in particular, this last go round, to kind of, like you're saying, surpass what Atlantis was and could have been. And this is based off the pain and the lessons and the however many thousand years after that catastrophe, probably 25,000 years plus about.
Do you have any memories yourself, Brian, from Atlantis? Because I do know you from there.
So this is my big joke in the community because I'm surrounded by everyone who, oh, I talked to the Crystal Skulls and I see Sasquatch over there, and like the shadow people dropped by for tea the other day. And I'm like, I don't see shit. I don't remember shit. I don't know shit. All I know is I have my path and what I'm supposed to do is I do it. And so, and I'm told that I have the ability, more so than we all have the ability, but a big ability to heal and affect timelines for the better or worse. So that all the stuff that I envy you guys for is supposed to be parlor tricks compared to timeline healing. But I still want to be able to astral project, remote view, biolocate, be telepathic.
Biolocate that gets me, because when you know that you've done something or you should have that ability, but you don't have it in this lifetime, it's really frustrating to do it. So that's the main
It's
one. Yeah, but
frustrating.
I've definitely from the first time we met, actually, there is that resonance there of you in
Nice.
Atlantis. I kind of see you, actually. I see you there.
Like was I an organizer or rabble rouser of some type?
I don't know. I just see us all working in
Yes.
temple. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
You may have been associated with the other side for sometimes.
like the rebels, the bad guys.
Yeah, there
Okay.
was just like what's happening now. We have light and dark that's fighting with each other. They had the
Yeah.
same in Atlantis. There was the group that was scientific, okay, and then there was the
Right.
group that was spiritual.
That's more the
And
Lemurian side, right?
no, not necessarily.
Lemurian was heart-centered.
Okay, so
Mary,
it's
Yeah.
still within this is within Atlantis. Is more
no, just
they
Yeah.
even have a
Atlantis.
split.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Edgar Casey talked about this too, how, the scientist, didn't look at the spiritual things and they misused the technology, which is why I said probably that's what destroyed it. And so I don't know why I feel this, but I kind of feel like you were drawn a lot to that tech, not all the lifetimes, but maybe one or two, because
Like I've been
Atlantis,
over my head, and I
yeah,
learned those lessons of ways like in
yeah,
the spiritual will always be more important than the technological.
yeah.
Mm.
And Atlantis had its moments of utopia and a golden age, and then it
Yeah,
had its moments where it regressed.
but
Okay.
I
Because I
do
had it,
I
go
feel
ahead.
dragon connection for Brian as well.
Oh yeah, I get that a
Yeah,
lot too.
Yeah,
I get that a
okay.
lot.
yeah.
And then I get on a lot of my past incarnations, um, between Atlantis and now, I was a rabble rouser, and so like in one life, maybe it was like in like China or Asia, we were like rebelling against whatever big emperor or warlord or whoever. And
Mhm.
when they rounded us up, they hung us all. And then apparently I was a they said, leave my body up, as an example. That makes me happy. But they're always like trying to drown me or cut my head off or hang me, cut off my airway,
Yeah, because
shut me up.
Yeah.
you like to be out there and you go 100%, so
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
consequences when you go all the way
Mm.
and see what
Yeah.
happened. But this
Yeah.
time we're not going to have this kind of like, I
Mm-mm.
mean, there are people who have been whistleblowers that were very dedicated and lost their life.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
but I don't see that continuing for very much longer. I think
No,
that
no.
it's gonna balance itself out, and the truth's gonna start coming out. And it could start on Tuesday. We could be 2 days away where something major. That's what I keep saying on Telegram. Something major is getting ready to break out. So that's why I
Mm.
took my precautions and did everything
Yeah.
today so that whatever
Same.
happens, I'm ready for it. I don't have to go out. I don't have to do anything, whatever. So you just have to see. But I know Atlantis had very strong periods of time and other times where it regressed. So I think a lot of people who have incarnated now had Atlantean lifetimes, and they were involved in some aspect of the light and the dark fighting, and now they're coming back, or maybe they're coming back. They were in the dark, and they're trying to learn. Don't go into the dark energies. It's not going to
Hmm.
take you
Mm.
anywhere
Hmm.
because Mother Earth is going into 5D and is going to be a beautiful place and a paradise. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And apparently she's already there, and it's kind of like we're just in this linear time frame catching up.
Well,
But
there's
like she's already there.
another woman that I met in Tampa that keeps telling me that. She said Mother Earth's already 5D.
She's
And
already there.
I said, but why aren't we experiencing 5D if she's in 5D? So,
We're human. It takes us
Mm.
time to lag to catch up. She's a celestial.
right.
Yeah.
But she must be allowing us to go through that process
She's waiting for
gradually.
us. Yes, yes. She's been holding her energy back because she could have shaken us off by now, and she's
Right.
done. She's held up for us apparently.
Well, I think
Mm.
Sasquatch may be in 5D already.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Their energy, they come down here and we see them, but if they don't want us to see them, they just go back up into the higher vibrational energy.
Oh
Well,
wow.
well, I have to introduce you to Christopher Jacobs and Joanna Michaels who make these, and this one's name is Lev Tok, I believe.
Mhm.
So there's a real Sasquatch being who's kind of like he associates, through this,
Yeah,
they can do crystals, right?
you can feel that.
Yeah, and so I'll put you in touch with them because they're
Mm.
directly in touch with the Sasquatch. Like they'll you can communicate with Sasquatch like a telephone through Christopher, basically.
Hmm. Okay.
So I just pulled some cards actually for our shared Akashic records, and I'll just share with you guys quickly. So the first card that came out was about signs and synchronicities. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're really coming on the right path right now. We're being guided to step into our wisdom and mastery.
Yeah.
So
It's a
all's
theme.
good. Yeah, renewal and relaxation is the key, though. It's so important to refresh our energies right now, and to stay connected with each other and with the elements because we are healing the trauma, the
Yeah.
wounding of Atlantis. And this is exactly what the Palladians said to me in a recent Connect with Soma. It's going back to heal that Atlantean wounding. So that's where my work is all focused at the moment. But yeah, we're making big, cosmic healing. Cosmic healing's coming in as well. So we're being really supported by star races as well as we do this work together. So
And
yeah,
and then we heal them, right? We heal if
yeah,
we're healing the earth level, we also heal as a cosmic level.
yeah, we're sending out waves. Yeah, definitely waves, multi-dimensional waves of healing going out. So that's
That's
really
a good
cool.
reading. What
Yeah.
card deck is that?
This is the Akashic Record Oracle by
Nice.
Marina, the Soul Alchemist, Marina Beach. She's in the UK. Yeah.
All the good people are in the UK.
Ireland even.
Yeah, Ireland, England, Scotland,
I
Wales.
I always think all the good people are in America.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Well, there's a different kind of, let's see if Brian agrees. It's a different kind of spiritual person here in the United States compared to what I experienced when I was in the UK.
We're the
Because
Oh.
new world guns people, and you're
right,
the more old world. Uh,
exactly.
See,
You
yeah,
because
have
we've
yeah.
we've got the
Not. I
Merlin.
know I was gonna say aristocracy. You're living,
Well,
having to live under the aristocracy, having to
we've
endure them.
we've got the Merlin energies here. We've got the the
Yeah,
King
Merlin
Arthur and all
energies,
that. Yeah,
the Druidic, yeah, the Druid
yeah.
stuff for sure.
yeah,
The
there's
Selkie.
Hmm.
more, I would say there are more magical places in England than in in the United States. You know, we have our Sedona, we have our Mount Shasta, but you guys have so many magical places, there.
Yeah,
And then also, I
Maybe
think,
square foot per square foot. Yeah, per square meter.
well,
yeah,
of
Because we
course,
got some crazy stuff here in the US. We got a
oh
lot of,
yeah, we
yeah.
do. And there's probably things from Lemuria and past civilizations like
Yeah.
Tartaria, these energies that are here, but I don't know,
Can
it's just
can you
different.
speak a little bit, Joshua, about Tartaria?
Yeah, I can. Um, so basically, Tartaria, what's happening is people are waking up by looking at the cathedrals and the churches and these amazing buildings which have fantastic architecture that we just didn't have the technology 400 years ago or 300 years ago or 200 years ago to create them. You know, like I know again in throughout the UK, you have all these old cathedrals and churches and everything with towers and antennas and all of that. And that those kind of structures actually were in the United States too. They were like in Chicago when they had the World's Fair in 1893, and they destroyed all of them. There's only three buildings left in Chicago from the World's Fair. Um, or like, the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. We have these same kind of Gothic structures in the United States, but they're all over the world. So when you see those kind of things, that is evidence that there was a very advanced race of people technologically and spiritually, and they were tall too. Okay. And so apparently the same people that are giving us trouble right now, trying to control our lives, didn't like them, were threatened by them, and the experts said there was what they call a mud flood, or downpour of water that flooded the
Can
whole
I just,
world.
I'm so sorry, but can I just for 1 second, can I just interrupt and add that I see a great um, parallel theme going on here with the weather warfare at the moment,
Mhm. Yeah,
where everything is being flooded, and this has happened before.
yeah.
There was a great reset before, and I see it happening again. And I'm using the great reset phrase in a very positive way.
Yeah, that's the
So I just
reset.
wanted to add that because I see it so clearly, and I don't know if other people are seeing that.
well,
Yeah,
I have some insight on Tartaria that might be helpful here for
go
a part
ahead,
of why
Brian.
it's so confusing in the timeline
Yeah.
is because we're in such a heavily edited timeline. According to Audrey Walters, Tartaria was a period in human history where they wanted to experiment to see what happened if they have some of humanity with our abilities unlocked and with access to these technologies. And it rapidly got to the point where they weren't going to be able to continue controlling humanity if we had access to all of that. So they had to wipe it out and reset it in a bad way. And what I believe is that they used the Montauk Project, among other things, to categorically, or at least as best it could, erase Tartaria from our history books. And that's exactly the type of time travel mission stuff that they would have done. Because
Yeah,
I
that
know at
makes
least of
sense.
one other time travel mission where they erased like a Leonardo da Vinci guy for Renaissance Italy who would have given us either free energy, time travel, or anti-gravity, and they're all three are interrelated anyway. And they spent lifetime mission on him to wipe him out of history. And then at the end of his life, they took him out probably.
Right. But the thing was, is they wanted to get rid of the people, but they wanted to keep the buildings and the technology. So what the Tartarians had is through their advanced technology, they had free energy that they were able to broadcast to everybody's house. And there are still a
Mhm.
couple of buildings that have the antenna that are sparking that I've seen
Mhm.
on Telegram. Not too many, but I've seen two different buildings where like every 5 seconds it's sparking because it's still has the equipment inside and it's still connecting with the etheric energy of the earth to bring that forward and share it out. So I think that what Tartaria represents is evidence that the true history of our planet has been totally erased and that we haven't been given the true history. So we don't know if Rome existed. We don't know if Greece existed. We don't know what was going on with Jesus and Christ. All of that could have been totally made up. Okay. And somebody has the true history of the earth that will come back to us. And then that there were these tall people too, like at the end of the 1800s and early 1900s. There's a video, I've seen it, where there are people like twice as tall as us, and they're walking around and they still existed. So they didn't totally wipe out all of the Tartarians. There were still some left, or their genetics were still maintained so that some of these tall people would still be born. But then in the 1800s, there were all these orphans that showed up the same size we are.
The
So
orphan trains.
right. So I don't know, were those clones? Did they totally reset humanity to be shorter? So there's so many clues about that something else existed before us. So that's the essence of Tartaria. And that was only like 200, 250 years ago before it was ended. And they're still underneath some of the buildings too. They still have the lower floors from the Tartarian buildings that got covered up by the mud when the water covered it up too. So,
Yeah,
it's
in the UK, you only have to go to like Manchester and see that the buildings are so different side by side, and you can
yeah,
see there's basements down there, and the
yeah,
floor is much higher now for the roads and everything. Just doesn't make any sense, and I'm sure it's most major cities. Because
right.
I'm right next to Liverpool City. I can see it outside of my window. I'm just across the River Mersey, and fantastic architecture in Liverpool City. And there's no way we can create anything like these anymore. It's just not possible. And
Yeah.
again, the doorways are massive. They are huge.
Mm.
Yeah, and for
Right.
what purpose?
Right. Now I know in I think it was 1852, some major US paper, somebody was traveling out west and talking about these fantastic cities that he was seeing with huge buildings and everything. And so somehow, over this time they've basically had wars or they just went in and they destroyed those buildings. Like the earthquake in San Francisco in 1906, it also had all kinds of Tartarian stuff there. I don't think it was an earthquake. I think they did something else, or they could have had an advanced technology where they made it look like an earthquake and they just wiped out all these buildings and everything. So that's the essence of Tartaria. And every time I go on Telegram, I see a new video and I see even more buildings I had never saw before, and they're all magnificently made. Like the Great Wall of China, I'm convinced Tartarians built that too. It had to come from them, you
Yeah,
know.
also, the temples and cathedrals, all the churches here in the
Yeah,
UK with the
yeah,
bells and the organs, and these are all sound healing chambers,
exactly. That's what they were
right?
for. They
Yeah.
were they were
And
for people,
it's being wiped out totally.
right?
And some of the weather warfare in Europe was taking out church bells and things like that.
Oh
It seems
yeah,
to be
huge.
targeting, yeah.
There were huge church bells that they got rid of because the vibration was too high and too healing. So, so the bottom line with it is you can try all you want to using all your advanced technologies to try to get rid of something, but you can't totally get rid of it. Okay. So, they did their best. They got rid of it from the history books. They never talked about it. But within the last like 5, 10 years, it's just been going crazy. And all of a sudden, people are going, Tartary, what's that? I want to know more about that. And even I've seen Putin which we never see him do his true broadcast on again on Telegram. He was talking about Tartaria, and he actually had a map of Russia, which was Tartaria. It wasn't Russia. It was Tartaria, and part of China was part of Tartaria too. The Great Tartaria. So, yeah. So that's what it's about. I mean, it's like there's absolute evidence for me just looking at the buildings. You can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like
Yeah,
we
and the
have,
Red Mercury, there's also all the Red Mercury stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then that links us to the Indian civilizations where they had the Vimanas and flying ships.
yeah, yeah. So all of these things are going to come back, and we're going to know the full truth about everything. And they're probably even us as spiritual people who are open for these things. I've also kind of felt from spirit, like even you guys are going to be amazed at what's going to get revealed. You may have some trouble too accepting some things that we'll have total evidence for. So, but first we have to help our family and friends who are going to be going crazy. So, and that may be starting to come up pretty soon. So I don't know. We'll see. This could be the month.
The weather
Something.
warfare is a good thing that's waking people up. I mean, that's the
Oh,
good of it, is they're waking up to weather warfare. You
yeah.
know, I mean, you can just mention to people the radar readouts and show them. So it's science, you know. And then the other thing is, Spain getting a year's worth of rain in 8 hours. That's that's not normal.
No,
How is that
no,
normal?
no. No, and when you look at all these hurricanes, all of a sudden they just start manifesting out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, and their category 5 was the one that hit Florida, started at category 5, which this lady I just talked to that was in the Yucatan said that Milton did affect the Yucatan before it hit Florida. And there were some people that had serious damage there. So, you know, it's like somebody's deciding, okay, let's start a hurricane there and then let's just start building up and let's throw it at Florida so we can affect all these people voting for Trump so that they can't vote for Trump or something like that. Or
Yeah, if
or
you
getting the minerals in North Carolina with Helene, you
if you
know,
read benjaminfulford.net, I highly recommend him. Some of
yeah.
his info can be a little bit mixed, but he's reporting that I think he's either the Octagon group or the Black Sun group. They're like both related anyway. They're pretty much on the same side. They're the ones with the Rothschilds um, trying to blackmail all these countries. They're the ones behind Fukushima and that
Mhm.
disaster. And they
Yeah.
were trying to blackmail Japan, and Japan said no. And then that was that. And then they recently weather warfared Saudi Arabia. And when Saudi Arabia is dropping out of BRICS, and then they're going to host Davos in the desert. So it's kind of like a 180 after it seemed like they got weather warfare. So that's what some people are saying.
Yeah. All right, there you have it. That's a
Wow.
great discussion around past lives in Atlantis.
Yeah.
Oh, past us in Atlantis. Yeah, I was going to ask Julia if she had any like what kind of recall she has um in terms of if there's any more detail or anything, or maybe my energy is vaguely familiar, but it sounds like maybe I might have been part of a temple or something. She might have stepped away for a moment. Oh,
Yeah, I just trying to charge myself. Um, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I do need to spend a bit more time tuning in, but most of the people that I connect with, I've been drawn to them because of my guide, Saint Germain. So he kind of directs me to people, especially online and things like that. So with you, it's just a remembrance, I think, of working in sun temples. Yeah, I'll come back to you and see if I get anything more coming through. Yeah, but there's
yeah.
definitely a connection that I can't explain for all of us. So it's definitely an Atlantean connection there, potentially Lemurian as well.
I've noticed over the years that people that get readings with me or are drawn to my energy or um, even just watch my interviews and videos are very much have a very strong Pleiadian connection. So, but that's just something of, so yeah, it's yeah, I feel that very strongly, that more so now with the than ever before, especially with the weekly channeling group. And Julia's doing some magic there, especially with the weekly channeling group and the readings, kind of just the connections that I'm, and the some of the images sometimes in the readings, like when I'm seeing past life, other people's past lives, more often than not these days, I'm seeing myself there and other people, and yeah, it's just so beautiful. I think we're really connecting, really, like the unity consciousness is really coming together more and more.
Yeah, that's what I've seen, Soma, is I've been meeting so many soul family people within the last few months. It's like almost every day I meet a new person that's soul family. So I think that what's happening is as the vibration of the earth is getting higher and higher, we're getting drawn to meet each other. And, like Brian has this great conference he's going to do next year, and we connected this year. I couldn't go to his first one, but the next one, he's got me playing some role with the Crystal Skulls. And, we talk all the time. We compare notes and see, Brian, what are you hearing? And, I tell him what I'm hearing because major stuff's happening. So yes, this is going on right now. People are feeling like they're getting ready to do what they really were supposed to do, come here to the earth to do. That true work is getting ready to come out pretty soon. So, and it'll be about co-creation and honoring each other. And we each have our certain gifts that we excel at, that we're good at. So it's like bringing them all together and create something magnificent that we can't do by ourselves individually. So we're coming into a period of time like that. Like I'm excited to see what's going to get co-created around Brian's next conference because I saw he gave me access to his video. Amazing speakers were there and what they were talking about. But I just feel like it's going to go to a much higher level, the next one that you do. And there's going to be a lot more people participating in. Katrina says you may have like other offshoots of it going on at the same time, like little gatherings happening at the same time as the conference is going on. Or maybe the center, maybe we may do something in the same moment as your conference of unity of working together where,
Yeah,
you
have
know,
viewing parties, organize remote
yeah,
viewing parties where people
yeah.
gather together and then, link everyone up through that as well.
Right. And then do a meditation with everybody that's connected. So I see something greater going to manifest through all this, which is the same energies that Soma's talking about. So it's definitely coming up. Um, so it's like the same thing too. If I create, like I want to create once the center gets started, a free Crystal Skull conference, but the people I'm going to invite to it are the ones who like to work together and like each other. And it won't necessarily be, oh, because this person has one of the most famous crystal skulls, we have to invite him. No, it will go much better if everybody likes each other and works together. Then the energy with the skulls is going to be unbelievable, and the people will receive that much more because this is what they do with each other. They love each other and they all work together. So we need to be an visible example of what they're doing with themselves as the guardians of the skull. So it'll be very interesting. Plus, I'm waiting to see what our galactic brothers and sisters are going to do because they're not going to just keep sitting behind the scenes. They keep telling the governments, "Hey, you need to let the people know we've been here a long time. We're not fantasy. We're real, and we're interacting with your planet and the people, and they need to be aware of this." Which
But
is what?
this
Go ahead.
this is where I have a question here because,
Yeah.
in terms of conferences, there's um another conference recently where they had a fleet of ships arrive over their conference, which is great. But then some of the messaging coming out of this particular conference has been a little bit off as far as I'm concerned. And then there's other information I have. Do we have any insight on that? If like then who if if that conference is possibly compromised, then who is that fleet that arrived, and are they, maybe it's still a positive fleet even though the conference itself isn't perfect? Like, do we have any data on that?
I don't, are you talking about the conference that just happened in Colorado? Yeah, I just heard about that. I know one of the people that was there.
Yeah,
When
and
did
they
that
had ships
happen?
flying
When was the conference?
like a week or two, 2 weeks ago, maybe,
Oh,
and they were in something like that. And they were in Colorado, and they had a lot of the bigger names in our community were there.
yeah.
And the line is kind of like, well, she said the fleet was going to appear. The fleet appeared, so we're 100% legit. And it's like, yes, you're legit. The fleet appeared, but does that mean everything you say is 100% legit? I don't think so. But then but fine, there's some questions there. But then, who is this fleet? What is this fleet? What is the
ah,
agenda?
Yeah, see, unless there's absolute evidence and proof, just a fleet showing up doesn't mean anything because it could be from either side.
That's what I'm saying. It's like anybody could get, not anybody, but people with the right connections could get a flyover theoretically by either side. So
Right. Or
how
it
do we know?
could be that 3D holographic images too that they could be showing up.
Blue beamed. Yeah.
Project
I
Bluebeam,
think
yeah.
I think what would really impress me and give more proof than anything else is if they had actually landed. And I
Well,
know this will sound funny, but
we'll
but
take it.
come on, because anyone can, and with the right contacts can get a fleet of ships over a certain stage. So
And we had ships over our conference. They just weren't as visible, but some people could see them. But we didn't make a big deal. Oh my God, that'd be cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I am jealous of that. I want that over our conference. We could use that. We're the minority force.
Well, it's like everything else, Brian. It happens when it's the absolute proper and divine time, and we just have to be patient. And eventually, the galactics are going to be walking amongst us, and it's going to be perfectly normal. You know, maybe in the beginning it'll take a little getting used to because they'll be different than we are, and you know, we have enough trouble liking each other and all our different religions and philosophies down here. But eventually, that's what I see through my future self's eyes, is they're just walking around and it's perfectly normal.
Do you see like the Yael and the Essassani in particular beginning to hybridize with general surface humanity? And then now we get to get some of their telepathic powers and their 200 plus year lifespan, and they get much more of our hardiness and reproductive stuff and emotional base.
I don't know if it comes directly from those galactic beings, but the the things you said that we will have, yes, I see that
Yeah. The
because
Yael and Essassani are um two of I don't know if it's two or even the same, but they're very
they
much
can
gray human hybrid race, especially the Sassani.
are they from our future?
You're
There are some grays that say they're from our future.
right, right. Yeah, exactly. And then there's like there's like the the primitive grays or normal grays, and then the mid future grays, and then the far future grays. And then the more
Yeah,
future, farther in the future are the more evolved and advanced they seem to be, which is
right,
good. They didn't regress.
right. Yes, somebody else brought up one of these races you're talking about to me. So, but I don't know. I don't have contact with them.
They're like gray human hybrid with like really big eyes and not as
Yeah,
much hair,
yeah,
and a little bit more slight and slender than humans are. We're they're in between.
right. Now I think we have higher higher guardians, whether they're angelic or very advanced galactic race or whatever, that's not going to let things get totally out of hand here.
Yeah.
We're starting to come to a point where things have to settle down. It has to become more peaceful. Those galactic races that don't respect humanity and have been interfering in our natural evolution, they're being taken off somewhere else. This is a very, this came through, what's that lady's name who's the whistleblower? Keep forgetting her name. I think it's KK is her initial. She said she talked about that, and it really resonated with me when she was talking about the interference to humanity's natural evolution. So this has to stop because it's going too far. So it's just time for us to move on, to become part of, the alliance with the other galactic races, which I believe during periods of time in Atlantis, we were part of that. And then we regressed and we lost it. So we'll go back to it. So should be good. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think maybe we should wrap it up there because it's been
almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours. Yeah.
So we need to give out some contact information.
Yes, please. I was going to say, if you would send me your. Okay, so thanks everyone for joining us this evening.